He's got some advice for you. Give us a call at 800-807-8255. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good to see you again.
Good to be back.
Gary is on the line in Walnut Cove. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I've got a question for you. I just transferred here from Ohio, and I'm a licensed social worker.
Yes.
And my wife is also a licensed practical nurse.
Okay.
And I wanted to find out what we need to do to transfer our license to North Carolina.
As far as licenses go, the state usually regulates that, and so that might be one of the first things you would do is check with the State Department to see what those regulations are. We moved from Ohio, incidentally, years ago, but we're not licensed in a specific way, but so it didn't really pertain to me, but that would be my first step, certainly. And if you have other questions, too, you can talk to people who are in that role and try to understand what the process was that they went through to get their license here.
Probably a good place to start is check somebody who's already in that,
yeah,
in that kind of position. Diane is on the line with a question. Good morning, Diana.
Hi.
Morning. I am having a hard time getting to the interview process. After they see my job history, it's very hard to get there.
So the resume is getting you screened out, is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
The resume gets you screened out. That will happen a lot of times. Simply, it's a numbers game. You've got so much competition. The best way to get around that, and it can take time and it takes some investigative checking, is to find somebody who knows somebody there and somebody who could speak for you. Outside of that, it is quite tough, and I'll admit it. It's one of the hardest things I run into with my clients is getting through that initial screen. But once you can do that, if you've got a personal contact, that will at least, in most cases, get you noticed, and then it's up to you to seal the deal from there.
That networking that you hear so much about.
You hear about it, and it takes time, and unfortunately, so many people go about their job, and they then go home and spend time with their family, and which they ought to do, and they forget about the networking because it's not an immediate need. Suddenly, they lose their job, and they say, "Oh no, what do we do now?" You need to network. Well, that takes time, so you need to maintain that momentum.
Okay, Melissa's on the line with a question. Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
A couple of years ago, I was fired from a job under medical leave. I pursued unemployment and actually had to go through a few appeals on that, but did win. My record with the company otherwise was flawless, but now at this point, I am unable to find a job. When they go back and check references, I've kind of been blackballed then with that company for winning all of the appeals on the unemployment. Do you have any suggestions on how I can overcome this with, future employment prospects?
Tough one. Legally, I'm not sure. There may be some issues there. A lot of times companies are hesitant to give references other than to acknowledge that you worked during a certain time frame and whether you would be eligible for rehire. And that may be the sticking point. There may be some other issues beyond the medical that they would cite for reasons not to bring you back. I don't know what those might be. You might want to check with an attorney. One thing I've had clients do, if you're concerned that may be an issue, have someone from a company call and do a reference check and just hear what they say about you. At least you'll know at that point what you're up against, and then you can take steps from there.
Jerry's on the line with a question. Hi, Jerry.
Hey, how you doing this morning?
Hey,
good morning.
Okay, my question is that I have been sending resumes and applications out to various companies and state institutions, and I'm still getting a little slow response on local government from that.
A lot like the same question we had earlier. The resume, sometimes if it doesn't knock somebody dead, if it's not right on target, it's real tough to break through. It goes back to knowing somebody who can put in a word for you. I say it over and over again, but that's really what it does come down to in almost every instance. It really does.
Yeah. Anita's on the line with a question. Hi, Anita. What's your question?
Good morning. I appreciate your program there. And my question is this. I had worked with a company for 35 years. The company was bought out. My job transferred to another state. And now I am having a very hard time finding another job. I have an excellent resume. I'm having a very hard time finding another job. So could you give me any advice, please?
You say you'd worked for the same company for about 30 years, was it?
35 years.
35 years. Well, other than let's try another approach other than the general networking. What you may want to do is look for find target companies that you might like to work for whatever reason, based on location, industry, and then read the papers, see when they're in the news, send a note that said, hey, you know what, I saw so-and-so got promoted. Do something that is a little bit out of the ordinary. You've got a lot to offer here again, but what you may run into with a resume only is the same problem that other people run into. So try to be creative and look for ways to get around that initial screen. It's a tough thing to do, but
That's actually a good idea. Take the guerrilla marketing approach.
well, it is.
Try to
And so
work
many
your way in
people
there.
just sit back and wait for jobs to appear in front of them and then apply. And if that's the case, then you're one of so many, and the competition is great. You've got to find creative ways to work around that.
Okay, Randy, thanks very much for coming in.
Great.
If you need to get in touch with Randy, his contact information on our website at fox8wghp.com. You know,